Hey, you guys, it's Weekender time. And this week, Ben talks squat, Free gets loopy, and John gets all about the epic basing. I'm also in the show. One lucky subscriber will also be given the chance to win the Arena of Shades box set from store.ontabletop.com. If you want to be in with a chance to win the big brimming box full of Night Haunts and Daughters of Cain, then you need to be a subscriber to the channel, leave a comment below, and also, if you can, give us a like and share us around on social media as well. Otherwise, sit back and relax because we're about to take you through the rest of the news of this week, and your weekend starts here. Hola, Otters. How are you? Welcome to the weekend. This week I'm joined by John, Free, and Ben as we take a meander through the game and hobby news. But before we kick off with that, we've a very short notice live stream I've decided to do tomorrow. Ah, well, you weren't expecting that, were you? No, I wasn't either.
What's going on? What's happening, Jerry? What's happening tomorrow? Why is it so last minute? What's going on?
Because I'm like that. I'm fickle by nature, and I've managed to corral my Warren.
You've made
Light.
a decree.
Yes.
I corralled my Warren Light, Paul, to come up and play some games with me.
Nice.
And we're going to live stream. We're going to live stream Steel Coliseum, which is, if you want to think of it as Robot Wars, you would not be a million miles away. We will be going out. I imagine we'll go out on all the channels. I don't know how this thing works. I press it, but I hit start streaming and then just walk into the other room. That's how that goes.
Restream to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
So, okay. There we go. So you'll be able to follow along somewhere there. Look at fat me. And I may even pay attention to the chat this time. Unlike the last time. You never know. But Steel Coliseum is James Hewitt and Sophie did a game called Robot Fight Club that they brought to Kickstarter, and it never funded. And they went away to have a wee think about it, and then Zatu Games got in contact with them, went, we really like that. Let's rejig it, and we'll go again.
New artwork and all sorts of things.
So this is coming in like a month or so. May is kind of the plan, I think. So myself and Paul we'll be playing through. I don't know how long this is going to take us to play through. It's essentially Robot Wars on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And you play best of 3 rounds. So we could go the distance, or it could be all over in 2 rounds. But it'll give you a chance to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I really
the nice thing as well is that you can customize your robots and things. So if it's not going well, you can just switch things up and stuff. If it's not going well, this little fella down the front here, which is just a gun and a shield, he's got 5 armor at the front. He's why wouldn't you do that?
Right up there. And then there's like a giant coiled magnet, electromagnet for slamming into people.
A slightly unfinished Trivial Pursuit wheel.
I can't wait.
He's one slice of pie away from
I can't wait to see more saws. It's not the same without saws, is it?
No. But it should be interesting. It's a fascinating little mechanic from the gameplay point of view as well, where you kind of build your fighting force at the start of the game, but you also get the upgrades. So you're not bidding. You take turnabout, but you choose from the pool of 6 robots to get a team of 2, and you could potentially go, okay, I'm going to choose a robot now, and your opponent will go, I don't care what robot, I just need this upgrade, and it doesn't matter what robot it goes on. So So you could be picking your choice of robots while they're picking their choice of upgrades until at the end you've both got 2 robots and on all the upgrades that are fit to print. And then you spend your time in the arena knocking lumps out of each other and stealing their armor for scrap value. And there's even
sounds good fun.
Yeah. Like recycling, where you would drive over like a button or punch a button and like a pit would open and flames would come out and stuff.
The fire pit.
It's got things like that as well. There are little areas that you can go in and activate that will like flip on overdrive switches and stuff and give you additional power. So
that's great.
I'm quite looking forward to it. So yeah, you'll be able to join in with me from 12 p.m. GMT. Or if you're living life large in other places, that will be different times, and you can look it up yourself because I don't know where you live. I'm sorry, I don't. I know where some of you live, but not all of you.
It'll either be earlier in the day or later in the day.
There we go. In the past, present, and or future, Jerry will be there.
Potentially the exact same time.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, so there you go. That will be my Saturday, and then after that, we might be playing some Dead Man's Hand. Depends on how long it takes me to trash him in Steel Coliseum. Don't think we're going to be live streaming the Dead Man's Hand. Who knows? It depends how I'm feeling. Depends whether or not
take a break and roll out of that. Who knows? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So that's tomorrow. That's what I've got lined up. What are you kids doing the weekend? Is it as fun as me? That's not.
I'm going to Thorpe Park on Saturday.
Well,
that's really fun.
It's got like roller coasters and teacup rides.
Yeah, I'm going outside. Yeah, I am. I'm going to Thorpe Park, and because I don't go often, we're paid into those tickets where you can skip all the queues all day and just walk straight on. So cool. I don't have to ruin my day outside by queuing.
It sounds interesting, but outside, that's where the people live. I'd much rather be in a small room playing games.
I understand. You will see the state of me on Sunday anyway.
Time will tell. Right. Let's kick things off then properly with this week's choice for the Indie of the Week.
Ooh.
And this week, I've snuck a second one in because I know how much the editor likes whenever I do things like this. I am by nature a delightful person. So this is a super quick one, mind you. There was a Kickstarter run either late last year or very early this year, might have been late last year, by a guy who goes by the name of Carthage Must Be Destroyed.
We know where his allegiances lie.
Yeah, it does. I met him by the medium of Clash of Spears. It's great. But he ran this little Kickstarter to do heraldic waterslide transfers or decals for wargaming. Nice. Mine arrived today, and it was like, oh, he's opened his Etsy store to sell these things through.
Nice.
So I thought I'd very quickly show you that this Etsy store exists and to show you the sort of things that are going on here. So if I ambiguate, as you can see, there is a significant amount of transfers per sheet. It's like 160 something. You'll also notice that they face both Sinister and Dexter, or left and right, to those playing along at home. And
that's a very fancy way of saying left and right.
And there's a weird number. It's a heraldic term. The reason there's a weird number, if you're playing fantasy games, it doesn't matter. If you're playing historic, that is 1 for the shield. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the comparison of your horse, the horse curtains, left side,
right,
and right side.
Huh.
And that's why there's the odd number, so you can actually have your mounted
that's nifty
knight with the heraldry all in the correct orientation. And like I say, if you're playing fantasy, you don't really need to worry about it too much. They're split up into things like heraldic beasts. So you can see there boars' heads and
in many rampant forms,
rampant and passant guardant and all sorts. It's all good. Which is very important in life, I feel.
Yeah.
This isn't the most important one, is it? No, it's not.
Not the rams. We're not.
I was going to say, you're going to try and find us the squirrel one.
I am going to try and find the squirrel one because it's awesome. There's a lot to be said about squirrels.
Yes.
Mostly stop biting me. There we go. Squirrel rampant. Did I back this Kickstarter just for the squirrels?
Potentially.
Maybe. There's some boxing rabbits there. For anybody who's thinking this is a bit weird and wacky and out there, and why has he done these? These are all actually from a medieval heraldry book.
Wow.
Well, the research of medieval heraldry, the book went public domain at like the start of the decade type of thing. It had been out for a while. He went in, got the images from that book, and then touched them up for printing in 28mm scale. Okay. So these are all actually genuine. And
the ostrich one.
So yeah, I guess at some point your noble house goes, right, we need some heraldry. The dragon, that's already taken. All right. The horse, already taken. The gerbil, yes. Perfect.
After hours and hours.
It's very much like Terry Pratchett, Feet of Clay, has that, where he goes to see the heralds and the guys are talking to him as he comes in. It's like, I'd like to have some weasels. We're going to have to let them go. If nobody's taking the weasel. If you don't have the weasels under your heraldry, we're going to have to sell them. And then we get very upset when we have to sell off animals. But anyway, very simple at the moment. There are 4 sets, each with 160 odd on them, and multi-toned. And they're really nice. Like I say, mine arrived. Yeah. Mine arrived about 20 minutes before we decided to go and start recording this. So I have them and can attest to their quality, which are really, really, really nice indeed. Look at that. Look at all of them. Of course, I'll never use these because you actually have to finish painting something to put them on. It's got the French.
Not even the squirrel ones, Jerry.
Oh, well, the squirrel ones, they're going to go on my halfling honor guard for Kings of War. Oh, yeah.
That fits. That works.
Very much so.
That does.
Right. So that's indie number 1. If you're after some medieval
sneaky
heraldry.
Indie. Yeah.
That's my sneaky indie. But, it's important to have sneaky indies. Yeah. But our main indie of the week is actually Flags of War. So this is Ian from Scotland. I want to say it's Ian MacDonald, but I also don't want to get that wrong. So we're going to go with Ian.
Ian.
Oh, no, it is Ian MacDonald. I'm right. That's okay.
Ian MacDonald.
Yeah. As the name suggests, flags are mostly the nature of the game. However, he does have 2 miniatures lines, both historical. One used to have its own website, but it's been brought over here. I suppose it makes life easier for him rather than running 2. So Funky Skull, which we'll get into. Oh, believe you me, we'll get into them. And then Flags of War is the standard. So as you can see across the top here, you have medieval, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 1900s. When you click on them, you get a lovely little drop down and you go, where would you like to go? Would you like to do the Russo-Japanese War, Manchuria, the Irish War of Independence, your interwar Easter Rising? There's the
important thing about these is, are they like sticker versions?
No, these are just paper.
Okay.
Which makes my life much easier when I'm putting these things on.
You don't accidentally stick them wrong and then have to peel them apart. Yeah.
Overlapped ever so slightly, yeah.
All you need to do with the paper, and I did a jerry can on it before, all you need to do with the paper transfer is to paper flag is to put enough PVA glue on it so when you do that, it easily slides against itself.
Yeah.
Like it seems like too much. And then there's that much on it that it will hold the shape so you can put ripples and curves and stuff in it. And then you leave it alone. And when it dries solid. Anyway. Nice. But as you can see, there are ranges upon ranges upon ranges of flags for everything from the American Civil War, the American War of Independence, the Fenian raids on Canada, when the Irish battalions got a bit angsty after the war finished and decided to invade Canada. They got spanked hard. They did. Where is it? There's the Texas Revolution, the Carist War. There you go. There's the 1866 Fenian raids.
They've really got everything, haven't they?
Yeah. Like I say, this is the meat and potatoes of it all.
I know there's a lot of companies that do historical miniatures that I like, and if you want to get the flags for this particular army, then just go to Flags of War and buy them there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said, especially these days with contrast and dip and speed paints and umpteen other things, where if you're just going ahead and throwing block colors and some sort of shade or contrast or tone over the top of them, your paint job doesn't need to be amazing. But having a command section or color section with some flags like this just lifts the whole thing. And people, that bases and faces and flags. All you need in life. Bases, faces, and flags. But anyway, so yeah, there is a wealth there covering all the periods. If you, for example, are doing the Barons' War, and
quite popular right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got your squirrel transfer sheet, so you've got your red line rampant, and they're just needing the flags to go with, or the pennants. Then
and that miniature for William Marshall is out right about now from the guys at Footsore. So yeah.
Recommended. So obviously, I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can see there
there's a lot of flags.
There is a lot of flags. Williamites to pirates to
flags.
A whole host of things. But he does run a couple of miniature ranges.
Nice.
And having spoken to Ian briefly, as he says himself, he does things he wants to see or to play with. So this is very much, I want to collect this range, and therefore I will have this range. So there are the 45 Rebellion figures. So British and Jacobite. It's mostly Scottish. And I think they've all been sculpted by Nick Collier as well. So there's a consistency throughout them.
Nice.
So
is it all 28 mil as well?
This is all 28 mil.
Yeah.
So we can see here the Duke of Cumberland looking particularly sausage-like. I know you were all thinking it.
No.
I just had to be one to say it.
I feel sorry for the horse. Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, you would feel sorry for the horse. But so 1745, British troops did not change what they were wearing depending on where they were fighting, which means these can be used for a host of conflicts. They work equally well for the American War of Independence and stuff like that, because you've got your color sections with the. I hated painting those miters. I hated painting drummers. Actually, to be fair, far too much lace on a drummer.
For a guy who's going to get shot 20 minutes into the engagement.
How long did your uniform take to put on today, sir?
But you've got the mitre.
These are really nice.
Mitre-hatted grenadiers.
What are these?
Absolutely gorgeous.
What are these made from? These ones.
These are metal. All metal casts. All lovely, lovely metal. Num num num.
Do they come with MDF bases as well? Is it? It's like, or maybe they just don't come with bases and you choose your own, I guess.
Yeah, they're on the standard puddle bases you'll see on some of the unpainted ones. Said there might be bases with them. I didn't get any bases with the ones I've got to look at, but that's not to say they don't come with bases. You two can find out yourself.
I really like the detail on those. Those are nice.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate wholeheartedly the fact that the miters have actually got sculpting on them.
So you don't have to freehand things.
Freehanding a goat onto that. There's like a cap. There's like a little trapezoid right above the forehead, and there's a goat on that on everybody, and then above that will be the actual regimental signifier. Which can change quite a bit. So if it's the skins, they've got like a blue circle with a white castle gate in the middle of it. And no, freehanding that's a pain in the backside. When I was doing it in 54 mil, doing it in 28, I would cry. You might be able to see there. So these ones have I think they've got the GR on them. And then that's the little red and white bit at the bottom.
You just need a steady hand. Still.
Yeah. So having those sculpted on, break out the paint pens or just roll a ruler across them and away you go. So British section is fairly comprehensive. It's what you need to be doing the Lord's own work in various parts of Scotland and England.
Oh, that's nice.
Henry Hawley. There's also then the opposition to the government, the Jacobites. So here we have our Highlanders and the occasional Lowlander. Not enough of them. They mostly didn't show up. It all went very wrong.
But they're there.
Yeah, it's true. For people not familiar.
Oh, wow. They're
the 45 Rebellion. This is the one where they went down to sort of Manchester and then realised the English weren't rising up and turned around and went home again. And this is the one that finished at Culloden.
Right. Okay.
So. There is so much you could add to the guy on the right hand doing this. There really is. You could add trumpet. You could add party pop. But you could do so much with him over there. Yeah.
He's got COVID. He's just coughing.
Yeah. Cover your mouth.
Coughs and sneezes, spread diseases, wrap your germs in a handkerchief.
The interesting thing about these, though, is that I would love to do like Scottish armies and that kind of stuff. But then you have the looming shadow of tartan.
Tartan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Break out the tartan paint.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as difficult.
Or just use pens, I guess. Yeah. And just get the patterns right, I suppose. So.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
The Jacobites are absolutely gorgeous as well. Oh, there's Prince Charles Edward Stuart.
What you don't do is what I did on my Bros and Badgers miniatures, where I was like, oh, what are a couple of colours that are really complementary? Blue, white, red. Oh no, I've made these British clansmen. They're not going to like that at all.
Depends if there's an awful lot of tartan out there. Good old Bonnie Prince. Huh? Looking well done, really sunning
cool.
it up.
Really, really nice.
They are absolutely gorgeous. Now, another reason why the 45 Rebellion kicked off is because the majority of the English army was off on the continent fighting the Austrian Wars of Succession, which Ian has just done he does little mini Kickstarters to essentially flesh out and add to the ranges. He's just done one for the Austrian Wars of Succession, which will be coming in another month or so to the web store. So same period, but then branching out so you can start fighting out some conflicts elsewhere. The British will work for both, which means it just adds in other ranges to there. You'll like these, John.
Rude Highlanders.
Yep. Unfortunately censored, so we're not getting to see exactly what's going on there.
Oh, I love the expression on his face. It really does say "way" on it, doesn't it?
Unfortunately, for some reason, Best Known to Itself doesn't want it in big in that one. I don't know. Maybe that's a deliberate choice by the artiste.
That's that choice.
But yeah, so the historical side, the 18th century figures
selection of stuff
are really nice. Like I say, he also does the Funky Skull range. So this is for a game called Street Wars, which is based in 1970s America, in around New York, allowing you to play out something akin to the Warriors film.
Oh, nice.
So you too can have things like the Black Cobras.
Yeah.
Kung Fu afros.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
clink, clink, clink.
Yes. Some come from various types of pop cultural reference.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Crow.
So, I mean, should he be in the 70s? No. Do I care? No. Right. I will 100% on board with it.
Oh, I love that.
If you're going to have the availability of a sculptor and the capability of putting together ranges of stuff like this, then yes, definitely go for the stuff you
have
enjoy.
Fun with it, yeah.
Yes.
My favorite member of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Casey Jones.
Good old Casey.
Jack Lefeur.
and again, just there to
just there because
very much just there because the system itself, Street Wars system, is relatively simple. I might pick up a copy of it actually.
Is it by like the Flags of War creator Ian, or is it from a different company? Or
it's by Flags of War creator, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So the way it works is you've got D12, D10, D8, D6. I think that's all of them. So essentially it's like a Necromunda style skirmish game. If people are familiar with that, you've got your gang warlord, his lieutenants, his regular street warriors, and then the new bloods. And you've got like
fight over territory and things.
A fight, you're trying to get the most turf. You've got your fight stat, you've got your shoot stat, you've got your skill stat, and then you've got your funk stat. But your target numbers stay the same, but the dice may move around. So you might have somebody with a D12 in fight and a D6 in funk, or your leader with a D10 in funk. which is used for like initiative and activations and stuff like that. So so it's a very simple system to play.
It makes sense why the funky dude was in the bottom now. Also,
so there's the Braves, who may or may not be the Warriors. He's even got the little. I'm not sure what the name of that little Egyptian sort of headscarf is called that he had. They should obviously be wearing red waistcoats, but you can do that yourself. Nobody's stopping you from not painting them like that.
No.
I'm not sure if this is all of the gangs. I think there's a few more gangs listed in the rulebook that
need fleshing out in the future.
Need fleshing out. And, we'll get to those eventually. There's Randall, the St. James. I will say his hat is probably not extravagantly huge enough.
No, and it needs to be purple and clashing. Yeah,
I can do that with some plastic art. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at some of the others. So we've got the Mollies,
not the
Devil's
Lizzies.
Outcasts, Ghetto Lords, the Napoli Boys.
Oh.
So there's the Mollies.
Nice.
Looking ready to kick ass and take names.
Molly with a Molotov. There we go. Yeah.
The Devil's Outcasts. Group of skinhead thugs.
Your bikers and stuff, yeah.
Ghetto Lords.
Nice. This is great.
I love that the hair is on point for these
characters. Yeah. And then you have Daniel Radcliffe on the right.
Daniel, who knew Daniel Radcliffe would fight alongside Ron Jeremy?
I know, right?
Brilliant.
And then the Napoli Boys. So it's just a fantastic little game system and environment, and technically historical. Technically.
True, yeah.
Now, I don't know if he's still going ahead with this. A few years ago, he'd been talking about using this system for the gang fightingness to do a Gangs of New York 1800 style one.
Nice.
So you could have your Liam Neeson and your Bill the Butcher, your skinned rats, or whatever they were called, skinned rabbits, fighting each other in the streets.
That would be nice.
New York,
well, not points. Nice, but yeah.
It's a nice idea. Yeah.
I talked to somebody about it a long time ago. That it would be an interesting place to have a skirmish game where you don't need a ton of figures. It's not a full on. A lot of the fighting in the 1800s tends to be more large sort of action, but actually just having, what's the tagline for that? New York was built on the streets, something like that. So there's Donnie Brasco.
Oh, not Donny Osmond then. No,
not Donny Osmond. Terrible man, you. I don't know. Can't bring you anywhere.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
The lady with the birds from
Home Alone.
Yeah. Yes,
that's a nice heads up for New York, isn't it? This belongs in New York.
And
I don't remember her in Home Alone.
Home Alone 2.
It was the early acting career of Piers Morgan. If you look at the face, it's
That's
never going to be able to unsee that
now. frightening thought. The pigeon lady's an Irish actress, and I can't remember her name. But you'd probably recognise her.
I've done her a great disservice by calling her Piers Morgan. So
one more travesty to add to the long line of British oppression.
Yeah.
There we have our Funky Skull Cops as well. So that's the majority of the Street Wars range. There was one other tiny funky adjacent line.
Funky adjacent.
Which is the Funky Pop.
Oh,
okay.
And you'll like these.
Oh, the Goonies, they're great.
Hey, you guys.
Who painted that flower on the flower print on that top? That must have taken some patience.
I imagine it took far too much time. So who can remember the names?
Oh, no. Stop. No. So you've got Chunk on the right-hand side.
Do you have Chunk over here? Yeah.
You've got... Oh! Why are we doing this?
Ralph the Mouth. Played by Corey.
Mouth.
You've got Asthmatic Mikey, and then you've got Data.
Oh.
Slick Shoes. And of course, in the middle, Sloth. Sloth loves Chunk. So I mean,
fun. Yeah.
That's the only ever reason why I wanted to try Babe Ruth. That was it, just because.
Yeah. We have our daring detectives.
Tintin. Oh my days!
Yep,
they're great. The poses are perfect.
Was it Captain Cod? Is that his name?
Yep. The Thompson twins. I can't remember the name of the professor at the end.
Oh, I so want those. Those are so cool. I love Tintin.
But if you get those, then will you be allowed to have these? Because you're limited on what you can buy every month.
Oh no!
Is that Popeye and Olive?
Yeah.
I think I'm still sold on Tintin. I think
he needs. There needs to be a can of spinach, and his arms need to be a bit more unhealthily bigger.
Olive does not look healthy.
No,
that's fine. She never looked healthy in the cartoon, did she?
No,
Olive she's actually filled out a bit.
She actually looks like she's escaped from Area 51.
I just love how Popeye looks like he's up for a scrap. He's ready for one already. The pose is perfect. Yeah.
So that's Flags of War.
That's brilliant. That's a cool little thing.
Great.
Yeah. Interesting mix of different historical time periods, and then obviously the pop stuff, which isn't historically accurate. Well, actually, that's not true, because Popeye is based on a real sailor who actually looked like that. Yeah. And I used to know his name, but it's gone now. It'll be in the comments. By the time I finish saying the sentence, somebody will already have typed it in. So I won't look, though. You can't make me. So there we go. That's our Indie of the Week for this week. Flags of War. I think if you type in funkyskullgames.com, it will take you automatically to Flags of War now. Anyway, redirects to there, so you can have a look.
I'll try and find the rules and pop them down below in the comment and in the description.
I'll throw them in. You can pick up the rules in PDF from Wargames Vault as well if you're far away.
Nice.
Or obviously get it directly from Ian. I think it's time for some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, we are back with the news and some big news for little people. Is it leprechauns? Is that what it is?
No, unfortunately, it's not leprechauns, but it is the thing that I imagine a lot of people thought was at the end of the Games Workshop rainbow, the grimdark rainbow. There's no unicorns or leprechauns or gold, unfortunately, but
different shades of grey, really.
Yeah. What there is, however, is squats, or I should say, not squats. It's actually called the League of Votann. So, sure. So this was the new set of previews that popped up last week around April Fool's. In fact, it appeared on April Fool's Day. And everyone was like, well, this is either an amazingly annoying joke or it's the biggest double bluff in Games Workshop history. Turns out it was actually a double bluff because it was then later released on the day after, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at my laptop while I was playing Elden Ring, and suddenly lots of things popped up, and I was like, oh, I should probably write about this. So I dived into work mode for about half an hour. But we got a first look at the squats who have returned to Warhammer 40,000, or at least are going to return within the near future. As I say, the people of Necromunda continue to call them squats. They're shown off at the end in art form. They're very, but the people of Necromunda refer to them still as squats, which is obviously the term that everyone knows them as from sort of Warhammer back in the day. But in their parlance, they are known as the League of Votann, which is part of their sort of like engineering, mercantile, mining guilds that they have set up within the world of Warhammer 40,000. They are still an offshoot of humanity, as per a lot of the other ones. So like what are they called? Rattlings and Ogrins and that kind of thing. Beastmen, of course, yes, because you got the abhumans and stuff within the Imperial armies and things. And this is the new design for them. Now, I will immediately point out that as soon as I saw these, I thought, these look strangely familiar. That's because they look a lot like the Carmans from AT-43. The armor looks just the same in my mind.
It's the fact they've also used the same color palette as well.
Exactly, yeah. It's really weird. But I think there's a little bit of
all squats are monkeys.
Well, they are pretty good with a wrench. So this is what I'm assuming is going to be their exosuits that were kind of leaked last year. So sort of like their deep space mining rigs and that kind of thing that they'll add on when they're going exploring. We've also been told that there's going to be a box set that's a little bit like the Sisters of Battle one that we saw a couple of years ago, where we're going to get a bunch of the models ahead of their initial release within Warhammer 40,000 proper.
That'll make the scalpers happy.
Exactly, yes. I'd assume it's going to be done as a made-to-order thing, but who knows nowadays. Apparently in that box, again, this is all just rumours I'm pulling from the internet, there's going to be an ancient, whatever that means, 10 troopers who are meant to be wearing the traditional kind of like leather armour that you kind of know of squats with the sunglasses and everything.
Like the quilted jackets.
Yeah, the quilted jackets things. And there's also going to be a thud gun. Everybody loves a good thud gun. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how this all sort of turns out when it actually finally arrives on the tabletop for everybody. The folks against Workshop did actually have a look back at some of the models from the past as well, over on their website over the last couple of days, just sort of showing the sort of where the way things have grown and changed over the last couple of years. So it's been very interesting sort of seeing this new style of...
Can't get past that.
It is very similar, yeah. It's very interesting seeing what they've done to kind of like modernize the squat range. Obviously, we've seen a couple of releases for Necromunda that have popped up from Forge over the last couple of years, and they look pretty cool. But it'll be very interesting to see where they go with this as a whole. Is it going to be an army onto its own? Will they get their own codex? Is it going to be a little bit like a supplement of old, where it'll be attached to something from the Astra Militarum, because we know they're getting updated soon? So maybe that's going to tie in together and it's going to be part of the Imperium. They have talked about how the fact that, a lot of the time they do not really like the Imperium and they do their own thing.
Makes sense.
But they kind of come together at times of great need and things, which were, I think a lot of people are probably sort of focusing on the idea of them being this kind of like an Imperium offshoot. So you can see the quilted jackets, and then you can see the new version of them as well with the two different models. So that's probably how those kind of troopers are going to look, I would imagine. I actually quite like the new design, to be honest. I think it looks kind of cool. I think it looks slightly more high sci-fi in many regards. But then these are, the squats. They have always been better at building and tinkering with technology than a lot of the other, members of the Imperium and stuff over the years. So it makes sense that they'd have better tech and better upgraded things. And as something that was brought up on social media as well, like everyone's like, oh, they don't look grimdark enough. Well, Tau exists within the 41st millennium, and people have grown to love them now. So, it'll just come down to how you paint them and stuff. I think.
Yeah. So, I think the important thing to remember is the grimdark bit only really applies to the Imperium, because they're terrible religious nutters. We all know religion is the worst.
The Eldar are pretty enlightened for the most part.
Yep. So. Tower spot on as well. Squats broke away. Why shouldn't they? They don't spend all their time burning incense and reading out litanies to make the machines work. They just repair them. It's just humanity that has died on its arse.
I should also say that for those people that still play Battlefleet Gothic, you'll be aware of the Demiurge, which were the Tau-based faction that were brought under the greater good and served them. This, I think, is going to be, again, distinct from what we saw with the Demiurge. I would imagine by the fact that they called them the League of Votann, this is a particular sect within the Squat Empire, or however they put it together.
Well, they were called leagues. They broke away from humanity and formed their own little mining leagues and guilds and stuff. They'd be better off just sticking with the Tower, to be brutally honest.
I mean,
kick back against the Empire, the evil Empire.
You've got someone who would readily buy all of the tech that you ever make. So
I do.
And all you got to do is
sci-fi.
Yeah, all you got to do is kind of, stick to the greater good when they turn up.
The greater
good. And then just go off and do your own thing. Greater good.
Yeah. It's exactly like they are. It's one of those things. Time will tell as to how bizarre they go.
Exactly.
They need bikes and trikes.
That's
what made the Squad Army different. Bikes and trikes. The fact that you could have little tin can exo-armored fellas who were essentially just Terminators and then stick them on a trike.
Yes.
And barrel them up the board. That was the way it went. People didn't see that coming. Well, they did see it coming. And then they got a shock lance in the head, and that's all she wrote.
I am very interested to see how much they lean into the sci-fi dwarf thing now when it comes to this. Because obviously they've gone down this route of making them, well, they've always been this, but they've kind of added it to the models in this kind of like, we're salvaging through space and all that kind of thing. So they're engineers and, miners and traders. But maybe will they bring in things like the Slayer cult of the Grimdark perhaps into this set and sort of go down the route of what Mantic did with the Forge Fathers, where they had that kind of offshoot of that were kind of like Slayers but not really kind of thing. Because there's a lot of sci-fi dwarves out there now that have been done by other companies. So, Games Workshop are going to have to try and come up with something that will stand out from the rest.
Yeah.
Looks kind of cool. And as I said on the little title in that news article, this is Ben's new army. So it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, are you excited by this, Ben, by any chance?
Yeah, a little bit. I was flirting with Tyranids and Inquisitorial stuff, but I think,
now's the time. Yeah. Not much question for you, though.
Land trains. How long before there's a land train? I imagine it'll come out shortly after the
rolling fortresses. Well, yes, yeah.
Right,
yeah, cool stuff there. Anyway,
very cool.
So, sticking with the sci-fi and stuff from a long time ago.
Yes, and far away. We move over to Atomic Mass Games and what they've got coming up for Star Wars Legion. Now, things have been a little bit quiet on the Star Wars Legion front over the last couple of years, but these models were kind of teased. I think it was last year. Yeah. Potentially, was it Gen Con? I think they talked about this stuff all around that time.
About the new faction coming.
Yeah. So this is a look at the sort of criminals and the scum and villainy of the Star Wars and Legion universe, specifically based around the kind of Clone Wars era of stuff, but also if you've watched The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, you'll know that a lot of these crime syndicates have found their way into that as well.
And Solo, a Star Wars
and
story.
Solo, yes, of course.
Best of all Star Wars movies ever.
Or how Han Solo got his stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the Shadow Collective starter set. So this is a collection of different box sets that are put together into one so that you can effectively get started with a kind of like a little skirmishy force in Star Wars Legion right away. You get Maul, not Darth. You get Maul with the dark saber and his lightsaber in hand. You also get Rook Cast, who is pictured to the right of him. There's also a set of the Mandalorian Super Commandos that a lot of people will remember being led by Gar Saxon, who we'll see in a little bit. Then you've also got the Pike Syndicate and the Black Sun Enforcers as well there. So if anybody has watched anything to do with Filoni over the last however many years, or anything Star Wars in the animated sort of sphere, then you'll be very, very familiar with all of these different elements that have showed up in the cartoons and like. I think it's about time that we got to see all this kind of stuff. I love that we're getting this kind of Maul's little faction. I think it's really nice.
You say Maul's little faction. I think he's just a puppet. I would run him as Prince Kizor there.
Could do, yeah, very much so.
Proper Black Sun Syndicate crime boss. Yeah. Not this legless fella here. All you have to do is sneak in while he's asleep, steal his legs.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Maul, huh?
And then he'll just get spider legs. Because they're coming out with the Shadow Collector stuff, it kind of, again, opens up the door for them to do a lot more stuff with that Clone Wars era and even things like Rebels in the future, hopefully, as well. Because they've clearly plumbed the depths of the animated series for this and sort of hit on all those things a lot of people are like really drawn to.
Yeah.
And we've had elements of those series pop up in the past with a couple of the different characters and things. But it would be really nice to see them sort of really fully go into it. And hopefully this kind of is the opening of the floodgates when it comes to new stuff for Star Wars Legion, because we have been sort of fairly left in the dark by a lot of stuff for quite a while.
Yeah, you're not really certain what they're up to. I'm just glad to see more Mandalorians. Because to be really honest, I was planning on running Mandalorian army anyway.
Yeah.
Well, now you have some.
Now I've got more.
You
could also even file the
those horns could come right off. Right off.
Not have any of those dirty rebels.
No.
But if you do want to lead a section of dirty rebels, then you do have Gar Saxon. Although he'd probably say that he's a freedom fighter for the glory of Mandalore, but there we go.
But he would say that. That's they're not right. Yeah. He's not right.
And he can be built in two different ways as well. So you can have with the pistol and his refractor shield, or you can have with the rifle as well, which is kind of...
The way you've put that there, Jerry, it just looks like he's come out with his kid for Halloween.
With the Captain Spider-Man shield.
Yeah.
Door to door.
Hey, look, Ed, I'm a Mandalorian too. But yeah, some really cool stuff there first. Star Wars Legion that I think a lot of people will be very happy with. What I'd be interested to hear from people down in the comments actually is, where do you think they should go from this?
Ooh.
Do you agree going into the animated series? Should we look towards the new live action stuff we've been seeing? Should we have a Mandalorian and a Boba Fett and stuff like that? So
was Rook in the animated series? I've not watched the Clone Wars because I watched the first couple of episodes and it was terrible. But she is in the comic. She's in the Darth Maul miniseries, the Son of Dathomir.
So Gar Saxon was in the animated series. I can't remember Rook Cast unless she was like a bit part in like a longer series of episodes. Because she didn't immediately stand out to me, but obviously it's nice to have Gar Saxon in there as well. So, but yeah, it's really cool stuff.
I just want a pod racing spin-off.
I mean, why not? That's kind of cool. You make your own pod racers. Yeah.
This is pod racing.
I literally don't care about anything else in episodes 1, 2, and 3. I think the pod racing was the best bit of it all.
Yep.
So. And when you are doing your pod racing minigame on the tabletop, you've got to make all the noises.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
So you got to do some almost like boom, 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 boom. Oh,
would you what a Doug. Would you add in things like being shot at on Tatooine
by Tuscans?
Of course you would. Like that.
Yep. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Gaslands would be a very good system for it, actually.
It really would, actually. Yeah. I'm pretty sure someone made
machines with pods.
I'm pretty sure someone made a pod racing like sim of that using the Gaslands rules. I'll have to see if I can find it. But anyway.
Yeah. So that's the most important release of 2023. Will be the Gaslands pod race.
Yes.
Skin.
Very much so.
I'm all for that.
Do that in Blaster Mag if it doesn't appear in reality.
You just have to call it "This is pod racing."
Yes,
it doesn't need a fancy title.
Yeah, very nice. But yeah, so some awesome Star Wars stuff there to get everybody back into playing some Legion on the tabletop.
Who knows? Maybe at some point they'll be added to the Atomic Mass Games website.
True.
Who would want to put the biggest IP in the world on the
Never mind the other games that they said they were going to be doing, but we'll see.
Wow. Time will tell. Anyway, free Lippy Tales.
Oh, combo breaker with a sci-fi, because we've got 3 in a row here. So the release of Tales from the Loop board game with Free League Publishing is now upon us. So players can take a lightweighted approach when dealing with 80s-inspired sci-fi investigation. So you're provided a streamlined and shorter experience within the same RPG universe. So this was released in February, so players are going to be heading to the familiar environment, which extends the universe for a chance to board gamers to get involved now. So get more involved into the retro action. So the narrative title is focused following a similar theme to the RPG. So it brings images and works from the original art book into this game as well. So it places 1 to 5 players in a chance to head off to loads of different locations and cooperate in an investigation upon the anomalies that are happening across the town. But you are playing as teenagers on the hunt for intrigue, so mystery is going to be in the wind, and players are going to need to be home right in time for dinner. So those who have never stepped into the world of Tales from the Loop, RPG from Free League, or have even seen the Amazon series as well, think Stranger Things, but more sci-fi. So taking place in the late 80s where mullets and spandex were a choice. So players will have to balance the pressures of teenage life with hunting down mysterious creatures as well. So you're going to be thrown into adventures and mysteries that surround the loop. So this is a particle accelerator that's been built underground in the suburban countryside. So it's not that far from Stockholm. So as I said, you're going to be playing as local kids equipped with a series of skills, and they're going to be heading off to the edge of ruin or the video store to put stop to any unusual antics before all hope is lost. And by that, which I mean you have to, if you do get home late, you're probably going to need to sacrifice your lift to school the next day. So there are several different scenarios in the box, which can last up to 120 minutes. So players are going to take their turn simultaneously. So the round represents 1 day, starting with the sound of the school bell and ending safely at home. So players are going to need to keep their eyes and ears open at school for any gossip about what's going on around town. They're going to gain tips on where to journey off to once the school day ends. So map is completely free to explore. They're going to head off to different locations with limited time and carry out investigations. So whether you're intrigued by Amazon series or you've RPG'd way through many mechanical mystery or just want an entry point into the world, board game is a great extension and introduction, in my opinion. It's great to look into the world. What are you showcasing, Jerry? What we got?
The art book.
This is the art book that started it all from Simon Stolenhag.
And of course, Jerry has it.
Of course, I know because I'm a whore for the Tales from the Loop. But that's in and of itself. I mean, this is the reason why the RPG exists, because he had created a whole alternate Sweden in the 80s. And it wasn't just like, I'm going to do a weird picture of something, or I'm going to have, dinosaurs attacking, but then you also got the write-up about what was happening, and the guys at Free League went, oh my word, that's insane. In particular.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's weird and wacky. And it's really interesting that they've decided to go with this. I suppose they're possibly a similar age to myself, so it has that sort of Goonies feel. And 80s nostalgia and 80s retro is a thing these days.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea of the kids adventure, the sort of thing we used to do. Sod off down to
go outside and break things,
go down
jump
to
out
castle
trees,
grounds and do things and make up your own adventures. But in this case, occasionally weird stuff will happen because of the loop. So you may end up having to deal with ankylosaurs roaming the land, or stay off Wolf Island, or keep away from the unusual floating droids that are powered by loop technology, because they may end up dropping you into something.
I was having a look at this in a little bit more detail because I've got a copy on my board game collection that I have yet to actually dive in and play properly. But I was looking through it, I was reading through the rules, and it's got, as you say, it's a slightly more streamlined. Well, the Tales from the Loop rules are very streamlined in that regard anyway.
Yeah.
And they've basically gone with that concept for the kind of ease of diving into the board game. But there's actually a lot of granularity in the narrative way that things unfold. And also there's like hacking rules for taking over robots and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's a lot of stuff in there that if you really like the role-playing game, I would say don't think, oh no, this is going to be like a worse version of the role-play. But try this. If you really like that, you're definitely going to love this. And then you can even use the components between the two if you wanted to as well, which is kind of cool. So,
and in most RPGs, yes, you can have one-shots that play out in a couple of hours, but most time you're going to be playing it for weeks, months, whatever happens to be, as you adventure around the place. So
I planned the one-shot and it lasted 3 weeks. Yeah.
So the fact that it could be a 2-hour board game is like a little
it's a sweet spot, isn't it? It is. I think personally it's a really nice introduction to it, because for someone who doesn't know Tales from the Loop that much, obviously doesn't want to watch the Amazon TV show, doesn't want to go into the RPG, it's a nice way to just see the basic fundamentals, really, the themes, what's going to happen, what would flow through into the RPG. So there is more to expand into if you do enjoy the board game too.
Definitely. And if you haven't seen anything from Tales from the Loop, I would suggest watching the Amazon TV series. It was very, very good. Unfortunately, it didn't have enough explosions for Amazon's TV audience.
You mean Michael Bay wasn't involved? No?
Yeah. But the series is very, I'll say, accurate to the source material. It's not lifted wholesale, because obviously the source material are just like one-shot pictures that, there isn't a narrative behind them beyond the change of world. But it's a beautifully sedate show, and if you're watching it for ideas of how to run the RPG, that's particularly good as well. You can just steal episodes as scenarios. So definitely check out all things Loopy Tales, whether the board game or the RPG or the TV series. It's a brave new world, as they tell me. And a lot of fun to just see whether or not you can get home in time to get your homework done and out for school the next day, or will you end up trapped in an ice cream van surrounded by raptors? You just don't know.
Who knows? No, exactly.
Could go either way. And that's just a regular time in Sweden, to be fair. It's not even Loopy Tales.
That's a Thursday.
No.
Right. Idols of Torment.
Yes.
This is a one out of left field somewhat.
Yeah. So a lot of people know that there's been a kind of a movement within the, I guess, miniatures world in general towards a lot of games where you kind of kit bash together your own models and sort of make stuff out of all the things that you have lying around. Sort of like the sort of Ink 28 stuff sort of game is kind of like a big proponent of that and things. Well, a lot of people will also know there's a YouTube creator called Black Magic Craft who does some amazing stuff over on the YouTubes. Well, they have been working on a game called Idols of Torment, or as I should say it, Idols of Torment. Because you've got to shout the bold bits, right? And the capitalizations. But this is a game where, as you can see there is no hell and there is no heaven. However, there is a place called the Echo. And this is a new afterlife where the souls of the damned, or the souls of humanity in general, get shuffled off to. Now, when they're there, they become what's known as the lost. And these lost souls will drift around within the Echo, trying to find their heaven or their hell. It's almost like a little bit of a limbo sort of situation. When there, the primordials have then sent many of their scions to go and hunt down these souls in order to draw them back into their embrace so they can use them for their own plans and schemes. I don't know why I said that in a different way. I think that's Scottish way.
That's very Sean Connery.
So the game itself is a skirmish-based affair. It's going to focus very heavily on the idea of narrative and thematic games, where there obviously will be winners and losers, but it's done in such a way that it's all part of telling the story, if you know what I mean, rather than it being like, well, you lost, so you're just going to get worse kind of thing, which I think is quite nice. There's only going to be a handful of models per side. As I say, it's all drawn from being able to build and kit bash all sorts of different things in your collection. So if you've got a lot of stuff left over from a whole bunch of the Mantic kits, or maybe some of the North Star plastics and things, that's a good way to go with this. Maybe some of the Cultist kits would be pretty nice for this, actually. And then you play your games through campaigns that sort of unfold and tell the story. The other cool thing about this game is that they've actually worked with Crippled God Foundry, who a lot of people know do 3D printing. And I think we've actually talked about them in the past in 3D printing as the Shiz, to make these lost miniatures. So the idea was to try and create humans that could look like they've come from all sort of different period of history, but have found themselves within the Echo because the souls lost from all over time, effectively. And the way that they kind of described how they look is that the more sort of put together robes are the new visitors to the Echo, and those that are covered in the tattered robes are actually those people from ancient history and stuff who have been there for thousands and thousands of years and are slowly losing themselves to the world. I think it's quite cool. They're going to be available as STL files for you to download and print off yourself, but they've also talked about doing them as a plastic kit, so you actually be able to bosh them together. Have you?
Nice.
Quite nice. So yeah, in an era of a lot of people basically looking at their collections and being like, how can I take things from this and use them to play X game, right? I think this is a really fun little addition to the mix. The game seems pretty cool. I like the background. We've yet to know a little bit more about the mechanics and stuff, but they are going to be doing updates over the next couple of months in the run up to the Kickstarter later this year, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's definitely one that I think should be on everybody's watch lists, especially if you're a fan of kit bashing and tinkering with things. So yeah, it should be very cool. I know they've also talked about doing things like their own soundtrack and stuff, which is nice. And they're going to do build their own tokens and things for the game too. So there's going to be a lot to sort of dive into and enjoy from this one, I think.
Yeah, I think the way he was describing it, it's miniature agnostic with the exception of these guys. Although obviously you can still use
whatever you have.
Ghosts, fools, zombies, whatever you happen to have kicking around if you don't want to. I do appreciate the fact that they're making them as actual real models as well as STLs.
Yeah.
There's me again. Hi, me. Because it's I know more and more people are 3D printing. I'm not. I have absolutely nowhere. And people are going to say, oh, but it's so easy now. I don't care. I literally do not care.
Not your thing.
It really isn't. I have enough hobby to do without having to learn a whole new hobby.
I understand.
So it means I often see things and it's like, well, that'd be nice. I'll never have one. But they're going to do them as a hard plastic sprue. I don't know who they're going to do it with.
No, it'll be interesting to see where they go with that one. I assume it's something that they'll be tinkering with before the Kickstarter comes up, I would guess. So,
I mean, there are enough people kicking around these days doing obviously Wargames Atlantic, I know, do subcontracting for people looking to get hard plastic kits, and Reaper
also
kicking around.
You'll note from the video how small that play space is as well. It's a relatively compact play space where you're going to be interacting with models quite a lot and stuff as well. So it should be a little bit kinder on people's hobby tables.
Yeah, it's that sort of will it fit on a kitchen table in most people's house style skirmish game, which works well. I think the big thing for this, and possibly because of where he's come from, where he does love his foam.
He does.
I wonder if more time and effort will be required in making the terrain to work for the tabletop than in actually making your gang.
Yeah, I think it
feel like the echo. Yeah.
But actually doing the rest of the bits and pieces you need is going to be the more in-depth part of it.
World creation stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this one, I think. So
I don't think you'll be alone in that one. It'll be fascinating to see what happens with it. I really like the art direction. You'll see, I didn't go through the full YouTube video, but there's an awful lot of the artwork that they've got done so far is kicking around
all
in there
black and white,
black, white,
ink
very
and stuff.
Very
lovely,
gothic-y.
Gothic-y.
It's nice to see. That is a word. That is the word that I'm using. So Yabu, sucks to you.
Nice.
Right. Off to the sea and the Sultanate for Dystopian Wars.
So this month is given over to a whole bunch of new Dystopian Wars releases. The main focus, you say, is on the Sultanate and stuff hitting the seas of Dystopian Wars. So they're going to be getting themselves a new battle fleet set, which you can see there, which is the Anatolia battle fleet set. Comes with the same selection of different options that they've done in the past for their kits. So you've got the plastic combined with the resin, and all of these ships can be built in alternative configurations based on the weapon loadouts and that kind of thing as well, which I think is quite nice. One of the fun things about this kit in particular is that the large ship that you see at the back there, the Anatolia battleship, can actually be built as a Hurrim class Grand Cruiser, where two of those kind of like come together to create one larger ship, which I think is really cool.
Is it like side by side, like a catamaran?
Yeah. If you look back on the news story, you'll see it just underneath it, but it's kind of done with like a little sort of
very cool
link between the two, which I think is really awesome. So I think that's really. Oh, sorry, this is one of the cruisers, not the
cruisers.
There you go. Yeah, sorry.
One of the plastics.
No, that's not good enough.
But yes, because the cruisers can be built as the Iskander, the Izmir, the Pasha, or the Sadrazma, or you can combine them together for the Hurrim. There we go.
Iskander, we're all about the Iskander here. Played by Sean Connery in the movie with the Kings.
Bananas.
That explains why you were thinking Sean Connery earlier.
Of course, yes. One of the other cool sets that's coming out as well is the Murmansk battle fleet set for the Commonwealth. Now, this one's another fun one because it comes with a whole bunch of stuff that a lot of people have potentially seen in the past. But then you then get the really big Murmansk class mobile stronghold that you see in the center there.
Yeah.
So this is the idea that the Commonwealth have gone, well, if we conquer some of the ocean, we're just going to drift away. But wait, what if we set up a massive, huge facility in the middle of the ocean and just shoot anything that comes close?
Makes sense.
That's effectively what they're doing here.
Yes.
I think it's really cool.
I'm going to name this Fort Boyard.
It can either be designed as a kind of repair dock, but also a gun platform at the same time, so you can get your ships refitted before diving back into the battle, or you could just use it as a big floating gun platform watching over the seas. You've then got 4 frontline cruisers, 2 support cruisers, and a bunch of the Ranoplans as well, which are the planes that you see there.
Nice.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in there. And then 8 Rurik class frigates as well. So this is a pretty good starting point for someone diving into the Commonwealth, which is quite nice. And as always, all of those can be built in different configurations if you see fit. Lastly, the Union are also getting an additional set this time around as well. So you will have noticed that the Automata have been out previously, or at least been previewed previously to this, which gave you some floating robots for you to throw into your games. But they've now come together as part of a support squadron, as you can see. So they've added in the additional ships and stuff there. So you've got the Union support cruisers, which can be built as Discoveries, Roanoakes, Californians, Montgomerys, or Washingtons if you wanted. I know all the names. I'm not just reading them. So you can throw those into your games and have fun with that on the tabletop. So some really nice stuff there for 3 factions. And it's really nice to see the Sultanate now making it to the table in Dystopian Wars.
Yeah, it's very, very cool, but I can't help but think one of the massive Imperium robots just reach up and pull the Union flyer underwater and just hold it there till it drowns.
I'd love to see the fort next to that. I'd love to see the comparison between the two.
I want one of the the walkers to come up in between the hole in the center of the Mermask class thing.
Oh, I know.
It's like a little life ring around the...
Well, you know what it looks like, John? It looks like the Trade Federation droid control ship.
Yes, it does.
So after your pod race game, then you could play Anakin's assault on that, just using flyers.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I should go left. A very weird episode.
I think that's a good trick.
Oh, that's right. That's what he said. Oh, the best. Just the best words ever. Why did he never get best screenplay? George Lucas was knocking out of the park with things like Sand, Its Course, It Gets Everywhere. You know, it just
original, truly unique,
dreadfully overlooked by the Academy, I feel.
I feel you're right.
Right, one more bit of news then for this week.
Yeah, so moving on from the dystopian war stuff, but staying within the dystopian age, because it's all connected, man, like a weaving web. We have
all the way down.
Yeah, we have the Retribution Town range. So this is another one of the big terrain sets from War Cradle and War Cradle Scenics we did dive into. This is broken down into a variety of different options within this big set that are all going to be available separately in the future as well, which is always nice. So you've got the Retribution Station. So you want your choo-choos, you can choose this one. There's also the Retribution Theatre, which is really nice as well, with all the additional detail built onto the front of it. The Barracks, I think, is possibly the coolest set.
Yeah, I like the Barracks.
I like
Barracks. It's got bunk beds.
This is to go back, if people remember Showdown and Retribution, which was the starter set for the new edition of Wild West Exodus. This is kind of showing the progression within the storyline there, where the Union have basically walked in and gone, boom, 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 we're going to build all these barracks and things throughout the city, and we're going to stake a claim on it. So it seems like a perfect way for you to dive in and start messing up the Union if you wanted to do that. There's also lots of really nice tinkery bits with all these different terrain sets. I really love the little grabber that's on the front of there.
For lifting stuff off the choo-choo puff-puffs when they go past.
Or picking up one of the weird creations of of your enemy and throwing it around. That would be quite nice.
The Hammond pipe organ there is nice. Good as well.
It is really nice,
I really...
Lay off, Johnny.
It's great how they save so much time as well, because they're pre-coloured, aren't they? They've already got that already printed on them. So you don't have to waste all that time painting up your terrain. It's just building up. But
what is this?
Changes.
Does anybody know what this is?
It's a target.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. I just assumed the Union soldiers got bored, and it was one of those things that you get a fairground where you put your head through, and then you
this is what.
It could also be that there is a theatre. So
I'm in the Old West.
But yeah, so the station.
If it isn't that, a drill will make it that.
Oh, drill will very much make it that.
If it isn't that, you can have that. Yeah. So
you just need a Duncan stool, and then away you go. There's the station, the theatre, the barracks. There's also the dwelling, which you get in the set. So it shows that Retribution isn't just made up of soldiers. There are other people still living there, and it'll be nice when those come out separately, so you can pick up a few more of those, just to kind of add a little bit more sort of more of a lived-in feel to your game tables, I think, which is kind of nice. And then you get the really cool
spinny windmills.
You get a windmill as well. Yeah. Classically American style.
Oh, yeah.
And lots of little pieces of scattered terrain as well that we've talked about. So if you want to dive in and have fun with that, you can do so. So some nice things there for Wild West Exodus to kind of decorate your boards.
It would definitely look nice next to Red Oak as well. Red Oak.
Well, yeah. You could combine a whole bunch of the sets together if you really wanted to.
There you go. That wraps us up for the news for another week. We're going to have a quick swish. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at some 3D printing and crowdfunding. All right, so we're back and going to be taking a look at some 3D printing. And John's found some epic basing. How epic is your basing, John?
Is this epic?
It's pretty epic, right?
Does that mean 6 mil, or is it just really good?
No, it's really good. No, I had to remember that. No, I was chilling out watching my new man crush, Eons of Battle, on YouTube, and he was doing a great video on how to simplify your painting and doing something good. Completely in my zone of what I like to preach on my tutorials. And he was like, he kept saying epic basing, epic basing. Look at this epic basing, and I was like, "Are you just using this as a term or what?" And he's like, "I've been sponsored by Epic Basing," and I was like, "All right, so it's a product." And I seen it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." So it's an STL product, as well as giving you a produced resin piece as well, if you want. So Jerry, you're not a 3D print person, so you can just buy this stuff off.
Just buy actual real things.
Yeah, you can just buy the real things. Or for people snobs like myself, we can get our 3D printer fired up and actually print the stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that you can physically buy off them, from what I've seen, is a type of resin that it leaves just enough flex in the material, but allows you like a lot of high detail. Like I love those bases, like all that wreckage and stuff.
All the rebar.
Yeah. They have tons and tons of stuff, and it just, to me, it just looked like a bit of a no-brainer, whether you're a 3D print person or just wanting the physical piece yourself. You could fill a 3D print bed with this stuff really easily.
Yeah.
Like get an entire army's worth of stuff out of one run, which would be cool.
I was going to say, also, if it breaks, you can just say that it's more ruined.
There is that. Yeah. Print another one, yeah.
I also chose it because it had a lot of like basic stuff in there, like the rebar and stuff. It had cacti, which for whatever reason made me think of Jerry, and it has some whimsy, which made me think of Free. So, and I thought, it ticks every box for something I thought
for sure
to talk about.
Just going to have a wee nosy through because there's quite a lot of go away free shipping. I've already told you to go away once. I don't have to tell you twice. I assume these are the same in both anyway.
Yeah.
Bushes, cacti. Well, maybe.
Well, maybe there's
different.
A few differences, yeah.
I like these crystalline structures.
I like those. They're really nice. Really perfect for a cave.
But it's one of the things that I always... It's one of the things that I always find that I really struggle with is sci-fi basing. Because fantasy is fairly easy in the round because it's just something rural in most cases. You just do a forest or a mountainside or something. But with sci-fi, when you've got to be like, okay, so how do I not just do this as a rubble city?
Yeah.
Like a ruined city covered in bits and pieces of discarded building or something. When you can have massive, awesome Torma lines, as you see there, just built around the base. I think that's amazing and can really lend itself to doing something fun and high sci-fi.
You too can rebuild Krypton.
Exactly, yeah. You can start to defy physics with it.
that would look really good on people playing. I know it's the wrong scale, but it might fit anyway with BattleTech. Because on MechWarrior Online, there is a map which is called the Tourmaline Fields or something, and it's basically just all that.
Wow.
There we go.
It's really cool looking, so some of it might work.
There's really delicate pieces as well, like
there is
fly traps and stuff.
Yeah.
The agave there looks really gentle.
Yeah. Quick look at the fly traps.
Oh, they're really nice.
I'd like to ambigulate you.
They're really good if you're going to making a Cat-Chan death world.
Yeah.
Or scale them up, because if you're 3D printing an STL file, you can just scale them up.
Make them man-sized.
Carnivorous plants.
More horrifying whimsy for you, Free.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because it's terrifying doesn't mean it's not whimsical.
Fill their mouths with blood.
Agave plants as well.
Yeah.
It's
in case you need to moisturize, I suppose. It's very important when you're on a Cat-Chan Death World. Moisturize is a factor.
Apply some aloe vera to that plasma burn.
Go for
That's how the towel keep their skin so smooth.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you. I like those. Let's have a look. We'll go into digital cacti. You threatened me about the cacti.
Oh, some flowery ones.
All cacti may flower.
Full on succulents as well. Yeah.
They're very nice. I like how they vary in shape as they're going up. Some of them are not just static,
Something for your Wild West Exodus Walker bases and stuff. Your big faces.
Or even, I mean, the way I look at things like this when I'm playing things like Wild Exodus or Dead Man's Hand or that sort, is normally if you're playing a game, you go, okay, well, there's a forest over there. Well, there can still be a forest, but in this case, it's just these cacti instead.
Mm-hmm.
That one's coming into flower. Don't do that often. Drill a little hole out. You could have a little elf owl making its home in there.
Oh, yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, I just seen this stuff and thought, you know what, it's something that a lot of us kind of ignore with our basing, you know, adding something a bit more interesting in it, because we're all into grass tufts and sand.
Yeah.
I think with maybe just a little bit more effort, we could be doing this kind of thing a bit more often. A bit more dynamic.
It's certainly quite nice because you can use it to theme a force a lot more specifically, I think.
Yeah.
So you don't just have two armies that live in the woods. You've got, an army that lives on a desert world with cacti, and then another one that lives on a desert world with monstrous plants all over it. So
my Black Templars live on a desert planet that has really brown grass, and my other army, which we're talking about on Sunday, also lives on a desert planet but has slightly less brown grass.
But now they fight each other because they're from different regions of the same planet.
Yes, that's it.
Like the succulents, they're nice.
Very cool.
And very easy to look after, I imagine.
Well, mine are bar one, so yeah.
Barrel cacti as well.
They're very nice.
They're very handy.
Have you guys heard of the rule of odd with basing as well? Nature never grows anything in pairs. So you should always have 3 elements on a base so that it looks more natural, apparently. There we go. So,
the underwater stuff is lovely.
That's very handy, especially if somebody was basing up a load of Trident realms for Kings of War.
Yeah. Or playing a bit of Deep Wars as well. Yeah.
Deep Wars, yeah. Or Drowned Earth.
Drowned Earth would be great, you're right.
Different, very different. I'm trying to remember who it was did the Stingray game at Salute a couple of years ago.
Oh.
I want to say it was Commodore Rob's group.
Someone like that, yeah.
But those corals
they are lovely.
Very nice.
Bizarre.
13.
Wattles.
Really nice textures on them as well, so they should pop really well with washes and stuff. Or just contrast, to be honest.
Yeah.
I always think contrast works well on natural stuff, and so basic material is effectively that, isn't it? So,
yep.
Like it's some magic.
What does that mean? It's magic.
Just lots of Harry Potter.
I've already seen him this shot.
Oh man, cube crystals, they're cool. They're awesome.
Some sort of pyrite-based thing, probably.
The twisted.
They're awesome.
Wow.
I really like those.
They're very good for Moonstone.
I was going to say, put those on the Fawns and the Moonstone. That'd look great. They are very, very Moonstone.
You'd even make these into Star Trek enemies. And they couldn't afford to have the actors, so they just made the set the enemy.
They've done that a few times.
Yeah.
There was the time where they landed on the planet. Kirk and Spock discovered that the miners had actually been killing a silicon-based life form. They didn't even know why. They're awesome.
They're very unique.
Especially go super high gloss metallic on the cubes.
Oh, yeah.
And really lean into the pyrite feel of that. Although you have your work cut out doing the tourmaline.
Also, because I have another 3D print project I'm tentatively starting, and I'm thinking that this stuff might be, or some of this stuff might be useful for it.
Yeah.
Particularly the urban stuff, because I may be doing a sort of Imperial Guard army that's kind of likes gas masks a lot.
Have a look at the urban stuff. Is that anybody who likes to live on a battlefield? They're the ones who really like gas masks.
Yeah, that's the ones.
I just thought there was quite a nice little addition at the bottom of the descriptions of those, is that you get the updates if they ever refine them. So
that's
you get
really good.
The kits, but then if they do something and tinker with the file, you get the updated version. That's
really nice.
Yeah.
Find websites like Cult do that.
Right.
If you've bought off someone and then they've subsequently changed the STL file, you get a message saying, "Oh, STL updated if you want to re-download it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Generally, you don't because you've already printed it and you're done with it. But in the case of this stuff, I can see the reasoning more behind it.
So these are pre-supported, yeah?
Yes, which makes it even easier.
Easy, yeah. Very nice. Your ruins and yeah.
You too can have foot on rock.
Heroic rock.
Yeah.
So magic's happening.
Skull at the bottom, knee on the rock. Done, not knee. Knee and angle.
You've just explained 25 or 30 years of GW design.
Yeah. What a big corrugated iron going on.
And how about it? There was a skull. This is a Tyranid. Yes, there should be more rocks, but there are many feet.
It's the last bit. Oh, the larger.
This is the one that we saw painted up on their Instagram, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Was there anything else that caught your eye in here, John, when you were looking around, or were you just specifically looking for stuff originally for your
or my dead group of war army?
Yeah.
No, not particularly. I was just sort of. I was taken more in by Eon's video showing the stuff. Because he was actually showing a proper applying it to a base and explaining why he was applying it to a base.
That's very nice.
Sense
very kelpy.
I really like that. You can show a lot. You can change your movement of your mini just by putting that stuff around it.
Yeah. What I'd see using some of the larger pieces as being good for is, say you're looking to try and make areas of sections of area terrain for your boards. Use some of the bigger bits on sort of larger bases to make like a little bit of a woodland, or just without having to put the trees on it, that kind of thing. Or it would just be especially good for ruined buildings, because you could almost plot out the footprint of what the building would have been like before it was bombed to hell, and then just build the specific sort of girders into the different points, so that it's a rubbled sort of building without you having to build an entire thing, and just use it as some cover on the tabletop. Yeah,
it's a very nice swampy selection of stuff they have there.
Yeah,
green grow the rushes.
Yeah, what you said.
Very nice. Yeah,
I do say. Yeah, it's an unusual one. And they're so tightly focused on just doing the basing bits, and they haven't gone.
Yeah, they've not gone crazy for scatter in general, have they?
Focus and do it well, and do a comprehensive amount of it.
Oh, I like how these have been shown off, as it were.
Yeah, I like the presentation a lot.
Yeah.
Like we've just printed them. We haven't painted them or anything. We're just showing you the bare product on a colored in a colored background. So yeah,
goes back to what we talked about last week. Presentation is key. So
see, whereas I like that because it shows you exactly what you're getting.
True. Yeah.
So there you go. That's why we have options. Yep. You can satisfy everyone in here. There you go.
This is how we can have nice things.
Just surprised they don't have a wee thing where you can spin it around and see what's
Oh, turntable thing.
Yeah. It's the only thing that's missing, I suppose, really.
If you complain about it enough, it might happen.
That's not the way forward. No.
I will explain on Sunday how that has worked for me.
What's that say? All right.
Nice.
Ooh, full on cedar trees. Yeah. An additional bit of
you two can be the Lebanon before they got deforested back to the Stone Age. No more cedars anymore.
Very, very niche period of wargaming history then.
It is. Yeah.
The deforestation of the Yemen. Yeah. The trees versus humanity.
Or the
Spoilers,
war.
Trees lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice little range of stuff there from epic basing. Does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
Do anything else clever? Curious. No. Okay. I just like to check. Because sometimes they do. You don't know. One time I looked in there and the bloke was going, I'll sculpt stuff for you, just get in contact.
That is true.
Always
would have missed that otherwise.
Yeah. That's what I do. I always have a nosy. So That's not the only little bit of 3D printing, though, we have this week. We have
more
tiny little bit, yes.
So the month be April, and a new month meaneth new 3D printing from different companies. All right, there's new 3D printing from companies. Okay,
nice. Where from?
So Raging Heroes are back this month to do a whole bunch of new releases for the High Elves of the Eternal Summits. This is part 2 of their 3D printing collections over on Patreon and Heroes Infinite. And once again, they've dived in to create a wide selection of awesome heroes and monsters and troops and also terrain for you to use on your tabletops for playing all manner of different games.
She got enough swords?
There's probably not enough swords, I would say.
Maybe the bird uses some birds too. There you go.
Yeah. They are swift.
Hey.
But the focus here has been on kind of expanding their range of models that they've been sort of working on over the last little while that could be used to represent factions like the Lumineth Realm Lords on the tabletop. So if you wanted to approach things from a point of view where it's not all big bull horns on top of things, and you say you wanted to kind of embrace a little bit more of that traditional high elf aesthetic across the collection, then they've definitely gone in and done exactly that. One of the coolest things that I saw as part of this set was some of the big monsters that they've done, which you should be able to see down in the larger image below that particular lady. And below the train. But anyway, we'll look at the lady first. We'll get to my fantastic things later. But this is another one of their big spirit models. So again, drawing on the aesthetics of Games Workshop, but playing around with it a little bit and embracing that kind of sort of kitsune style, Japanese, Chinese mythology and stuff from that neck of the woods in order to reinforce the faction as a whole, which I thought was quite nice. If you're a furry, here's your army. Boom.
There you go.
But we also had the kind of breakdown of the 2 different tiers. So as always, you have the sort of the basic one, and you have the Overlord tier as well. The Overlord tier comes to that. Well, you can get your hands on the massive, huge terrain piece that you see there. My favorite from this stuff are the big, awesome, like were lion monsters.
Right.
So I've always liked the White Lions of Thrace from Warhammer Fantasy because elves are kind of cool, but what's cooler than a normal elf is a badass buff elf who will wreck your face with a grim Mother Hubbard. And so it's really nice to see them kind of build on that with this collection. So you could actually do like a kind of Age of Sigmar styled White Lions army from the Mortal Realms, where maybe they've taken that across. And instead of there being a big old moo cow boss that's leading the way, it's a big heckin' lion or something that is in charge of everything, like that guy.
That's gorgeous.
And you can do your entire army themed around that, which I think would be amazing. Swap out all the spears and the dainty swords for big axes, and away you go, kicking ass and taking names. You've even got chariots. Who will want to see chariots?
No.
And look, Leonid's axe warriors. Oh, so cool.
It shows how much they appreciate nature that they've killed, skinned them, and they're wearing their heads.
Yeah.
My sweethead thought, oh, look, he's jumping over his shoulder. No, he isn't. Never mind.
I like to think that they are simply fallen from the tree already.
Well, you imagine your way, I'll imagine mine. Elves skin them in front of the surviving pack members. Are you watching? Watch what I'm doing.
I do like that Raging Heroes always goes like it has a little bit of its own. Well, it has its own vision of what it wants things to look like, and the aesthetic is getting stronger.
Oh, they are cool mounts, aren't they?
Good lord!
You know, I was talking about buff elves. How about a buff lion? Definitely done leg day.
That is a swole lion.
Yeah.
Rawr.
No,
that guy's about to give me a high five.
John was saying something before you derailed him with your buff lion talk.
Yeah, good aesthetic. That's what I was.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Before I rudely interrupted. But yes.
Contain your buffness.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, some really nice stuff there. Once again, from Raging Heroes. All available as STL files. You may again see a lot of this stuff popping up in the future as resin as well over on the web store. But for now, this is all available through their Heroes Infinite page and also through Patreon. But talking of their Heroes Infinite page, which we're on right now, we have a special prize from Raging Heroes. Yes, 2 prizes in 1 episode of the Weekender.
Wow.
So this is a great way for you to get a month's worth of miniatures for free to start your 3D printing journey. All you have to do is be signed up to heroesinfinite.com. You can do that without having to put any details and stuff strictly straight away. And then if you're registered over on Heroes Infinite, you'll be able to get yourself a bunch of models, all that stuff we saw in the monthly collection for free.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Which I think is really awesome. And it's a good way to try and get your hands on everything and test your hand at everything that Raging Heroes have been doing without having to put down too much Moolah straight away, which is kind of nice. The way to do it, well, it couldn't be simpler. We need you to comment down below. Basically, I want you to tell me which one of these is your favorite miniature from the April release. Is it the Buff Lions? If you just write Buff Lions, that's fine.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No.
There's 2 reasons it's not.
Jerry has specifically told me.
Jerry has put rules in place.
that you need to start your comment with "my favorite miniature is," and then put whichever your miniature is. So that makes it much easier to find you in the comments and therefore pick you to go with this.
If you don't use the prefix "my favorite miniature is,"
we won't.
The search thing I use won't pull out. So if you just write Buff Lions, Ben, you will not get any Buff Lions.
All right, fine. Jeez.
Although,
my favourite miniature.
If you write "my favorite miniature is Buff Lions," chances are you probably won't get Buff Lions either.
No. But anyway,
and is it specifically from the elves? So from that big list this month, or is it?
So it's effectively the month of releases. So it's this month's collection that you'll be able to get your hands on, which is quite nice. The other thing as well to note that if you are over on Patreon and you want to switch over to potentially get yourself these free stuff, you can do that as well. So if you want to sign up over on Heroes Infinite rather than on Patreon in order to get your hands on everything, then you can do that as well. But so there's a month's worth of free miniatures you to dive in to pick up. And all you got to do is comment down below with "my favorite miniature is," and whatever it is. It's Buff Lions.
Stork Margarine because. Right, that's enough of the 3D printing.
Yeah.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Time to wrap up the show with a couple of crowdfunding campaigns.
Yes, indeed. What I want to know is, are you all a fan of anthropomorphic animals in a dark fantasy setting? Because, I mean, I know me and Ben are, but that was a given, wasn't it? So Darkest Doom is on Kickstarter, and players are going to be taking the role as heroes, competing to survive 9 painful days across the eclipse. So, as you can see, it doesn't look like it. Almost. It doesn't look like your normal chirpy, whimsical animal, anthropomorphic. As you can see, it's just so.
Oh my god!
Oh, it's brutal. These are ferocious animals. So these are ferocious heroes. So GameStar Studio is bringing 17th century Europe as a forefront in theme, and players are battling for points against the darkness that are approaching the lands of Betel. So, what do you have to do? Heroes are going to attempt to rid the world of the darkness and the threats that are looming. So, they're going to take role of the heroes, flexing a series of skills, choose their path to victory, with one in particular player choosing path to glory. So, there's 4 players, and solo, if you're keen for a challenge against bot guardians, you're going to be going to different areas of the map. So, you're going to working hard on your playables to strategize and build on your character. So you're going to be able to tailor your progression ahead by leveling up your stats. So you're going to need to undergo a series of quests and traverse up around to gain control over spells, equipment, traps, and encounter cards to bolster up your characters with tools. So fair bit goes into the character investment. So what do you
Buff Lion?
Another Buff Lion. Right on target there. There are 4 different characters you've got Sella the White Fox, Rowana the Crow, Urian the Wolf, or Tristan the Bat. So quite dark fantasy characters we've got coming up here. So there's different paths to success that will keep opponents on their toes. You might want to prove yourself to be the best guardian and rightful heir, or you might want to go look for some ancient relics and get you some weight within the current world. But it's in the player's best interest to rid the world of peril and choose their path that suits them best that will gain victory. So the title does explore many different avenues of gaming. So whether you want to role play as your favourite anthropomorphic guardian, or explore the map for a greater experience. All of it is tied together with familiar management of tokens, utilising dice, playing with cards, flexing your player board, and of course the beautiful character miniatures that we have seen on the campaign.
I was trying to work out why there was a mountain, but it's actually the deck holder.
Deck holder, yeah.
Quite good. There's 2 different pledges available at the moment. So one will get you all you need to get started in the universe. So you've got your core box, your expansion, and your stretch goals that are being unlocked during the campaign. But if you do want a bit more for your buck and you're keen on collecting, you can dip into a Guardian edition, which adds more breadth to the title. You get a playmat, a graphic novel. A graphic novel. What's one of those? I want to know what one of those is. And a graphic novel and Kickstarter collectible. So if you are interested in a bit dark fantasy with anthropomorphic animals embedded, it might be worth taking a look at this one as Darkest Doom on Kickstarter. And there are 4 days left on the clock for this one. But it's just chock-a-block. When I was looking through this, I mean, you can see by the right-hand side, there is so much to go through on the campaign. There is loads. And they've been releasing a different narrative every day, updates narrative every day to see what's going on so players can get a bit more of a grip with the lore and what's been going on backstage of the game, as it were. But it's quite a hefty game. And I really like how you can really put your thumbprint on each character by building throughout.
I just love the fact they shot 4 of those in the head. That's all I can see. Anytime I look at them, the big red line.
With a Vindicator somewhere with a rifle.
Yeah.
Yep. Just think of the Punisher. Yeah. 1 batch, 2 batch. Any time.
I will say that they really have pushed the boat out on this one. I'd seen it previewed a couple of months ago, I think, when GameStop were talking about it. And I was like, I wonder how big this is actually going to be, because we kind of only saw the board and some of the miniatures on it, and we didn't really see anything else beyond that. But now that they've sort of fully released the Kickstarter, so much built into this. It's effectively like one of those big kind of Gloomhaven-y, Frosthaven games, really. So this is going to be one of those games that you'll pick up, and it will be the sort of focus of your collection for your group potentially for quite a while, I would imagine.
The miniatures are gorgeous. I love the character artwork as well.
Yeah,
it's such an interesting time to test.
It's such a weird juxtaposition when you look at the miniatures and then you look at the very, I suppose, cutesy, simple style of animation they had at the start and in the comic. You're looking at it, you're just going out and you go, oh, the deer, he's bleeding from his eyeballs.
Yeah.
I guess that's
they
right.
There's
a lot going on.
Oh, that's nice.
It's unusual.
Bearer.
He's certainly something. Could be a crusader. Who knows?
Knight of the Guardians. I think he's
He's got something going on.
Like a Dark Souls boss.
Yes.
The fact that him, along with the mounted one before him, have inserts on the base for other characters. So presumably some sort of bodyguard style.
Watch over them,
Yeah. We had that for Basil.
Basil?
As well.
Basil.
There you go, yeah. Fascinating stuff. So 4 days left on that.
4 days left on the clock for that one,
and plenty to look through. You can even download some of the backstory and lore as well to have a look at how that plays.
Yeah, there's plenty of content to dip into, as you can see on the campaign.
Who's our last one then, Ben?
Ben, it's me this week. I'm completely taking over. I'm taking over crowdfunding this
command.
week. I know. You shouldn't let it happen too much, to be honest. It'll just end up being cute animals before you know it. So if you are keen on the disturbed gothic artwork of Zdzislaw Bekinski, I hope I did that right.
Well done.
You'd be interested in this limited one-time art-focused product that's on GameFound. So it combines Bekinski's wild brain of vivid landscapes and horrific visions with Eurogame mechanics in Nightmare Cathedral. So that sounds very cutesy, doesn't it?
It does sound incredibly cute.
So a little bit about the artist, just to give you some insight into the title. So between 1916 and about 1980, creations of gloomy and disturbing images were born from the brain of Bekinski. So across each canvas, there was land in decay, an abundance of skeletons, and just rotting scenes of death. So now, in a very limited man, you can make that game. Board and Dice are interpreting the gruesome Baroque artwork and moulding the shape of Nightmare Cathedral. So it's putting a hard focus on dystopian surrealism. So you're going to be placing in competitive strategy and trying to take dominance over the board with resource management, objective meeting, and taking part in some brutal conflict as well. So you're going to be playing for onslaught, recruiting and attack strategy, and fortifying for defense. So you're going to head off into a wide map, explore to combine your strategies and reward victory. So what my biggest question when I was looking through this, where is the Nightmare Cathedral? Where is it? Where's it at? What does it play? What does it do? So the Nightmare Cathedral does indeed fuel nightmares. So in the centre of the board, throughout gameplay, a cathedral will begin to rear its head. So once the cathedral is finished growing, players are going to need to face the horrors that outpour from the centre. So they'll gain the ability to control them and head into the world and unleash the terror for anybody else who comes up against it. So the game really does seem like a complete representation, a translation, as it were, of Bakinski's artwork. So you can see themes of his artwork throughout the game, which is on the board, the cards, the tokens, the different components, and the strange gothic disturbing looking miniatures. They are really unique looking. So I'm unsure where this is heading after GameFound once it's been completed, because it is a limited time run. So you can expect to pay around about €90 for everything to get you started in it over the campaign. And there are some cheeky stretch goals in there as well. But there is a retail price for €127 on there. So I do expect once they're in store and purchase, they will be gone. So it's quite a cool one, quite an interesting.
Like the table hogger, I've realised. Like if that is a man's hand.
Yes,
the board is huge.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of retail space. This might be one for the floor.
Yeah.
But it is massive, quite taking up a lot on the table. But there seems to be a lot going into the game in playthrough. A lot of working with the artwork, as it were. But it's certainly interesting. I really like seeing. It's quite a unique concept, really, translating that over to a game in particular. But it's nice to see it come alive. And as I said, the miniatures themselves were creepily gorgeous.
I think one of the nice things about this is they've clearly gone, okay, so we've got the artwork and we kind of have a game idea. Well, area control kind of fits nicely with the way that you want to try and represent all of someone's artwork, because what do you control? Areas. What does the artist paint? Lots of different landscapes. So it works quite nicely with that. But yeah, as you were saying, like I like the fact that it's kind of boiled down to those Euro game mechanics and sort of area control and stuff as well. So the mechanics should be fairly similar to a lot of other games out there of this ilk, but then there'll obviously be those little tiny tweaks here and there from board and dice that make it feel a little bit more unique. So,
yeah, it'll be fascinating. I might go back and have a wee look at the playthrough there, because I've seen his artwork in the past. At no point did I ever think, you know what, this would make a great game.
Great game. Yeah, no, I was exactly the same. So when I saw this pop up on GameFound, I just know of the artwork anyway. It's like, oh, that's really interesting. Really, really cool concept, in all fairness. Especially,
it's a surrealist nightmare.
That is indeed.
Literally. Hopefully the gameplay is not the same. Hopefully the gameplay is more grounded and easy to follow.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing. It looks like there's retailer pledges there, so I don't know how long it will exist on retail when it goes there.
This is what I was thinking.
So if you are interested in this, it's probably one that you either want to talk to your local retailer, if you have one, you lucky gits. And if not, then you may want to consider backing this.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine it will exist long in the world.
No, nor I.
But yeah. Fascinating glimpse into his mind.
6 days left on the clock for that one on GameFound. And it was already funded after an hour and a half of it being up. So
there you go. I believe there's I think we've seen on there's a solo mode as well.
There is solo mode as well.
By David Turksey. So his name is obviously very well known for doing interesting board games and solo conversions as well. So he's done an awful lot out there already. So you can go and have a wee look at that. that wraps us up for another week. It's all too brief. I only wish we could stay longer. I do.
You can see us on Sunday, though.
And you can't see us on Sunday. See me tomorrow. Never mind about Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right.
Join in the live stream tomorrow. See me go all Robot Wars all over. Boom. And if not, we will be back on Sunday for the XLBS over on tabletop.com. If you're not a backstager already, then you should just go ahead and sign up for a 30-day trial. Give it a swizz, see what you like, have a nosy, see what John's been up to, see what I've been doing, and bask in the goodness of being one of our cultists. Otherwise, we will see you again next Friday. And don't forget to be with a chance to win either of those 2 prizes. You need to be a subscriber and a commenter on the channel. And don't forget to use my favorite miniature is, if you want the Raging Heroes one.
Buff Lions. Yeah.
Not Buff Lions. Until next week, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.